Welcome back to another episode of Not the Highlight Reel. We're here today. I'm Jessica Spaulding, founder of Harlem Chocolate Factory.
And I'm Melissa Mitchner, founder and CEO of the Bark Shop.
All right, so we're already, episode 5. That's
It's,
crazy.
it's
Um,
exciting.
no, like we've been doing this at least 5 times. So there's that. So celebrating any progress. Today's episode is entitled I Was Trying to Support a Black Business, but which is the single most annoying. This is in honor of Black History Month. So it's a very annoying statement, but we want to get into and address how we are supporting Black businesses and how Black businesses can support themselves. But that's for our discussion a little later. We're going to get into our stories first. First story up, which I thought was like super dope because I've been saying it silently. The founder of BT, Robert Johnson, my big brother in my head, national television. He is calling out the corporations for the lack of support for Black businesses that they said after all those BLM pledges. Because y'all was going crazy talking about how much money y'all was going to give to Black businesses. And he said the math is not mathing. All the business owners know that the math is not mathing. But yeah, y'all pledged a lot of monies. And where it's at, it's giving 40 acres and a mule. So, like, he had this appearance, and he's just basically saying he's disappointed. That a lot of companies, especially white companies, announced that they were going to put millions of dollars into diversity and Black investment in business, and it's just not happening. I think the Post did like a review, and there were pledges over $50 billion pledged.
It's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money to not be moneying. I'm not saying that it didn't get to the hands, but there was $45.2 billion was allocated as loans and investments. You been able to get a loan, sis? Like, they got 50 billion sitting somewhere for us to get loans from?
I mean, shout out to the Washington Post for covering this and
Yeah.
exploring this deeper because, it's unfortunate. It's truly disheartening. And it says 4.2 billion of the total pledge is from the form of grants, and only 70 million actually went to the organizations with a specific focus on criminal reform. So 4.2 billion of the total pledge, 45.2 million.
No, that's billion.
Sorry, excuse me, billion. Billion. B's. Sorry.
Get the big
Can't
B's,
read.
not the little ones.
And only 70 million actually went to organizations with a specific focus on criminal reform.
That's insane. They was playing in our face after George Floyd. They was definitely playing in our face. And I wonder how we can hold these corporations accountable, even for 45.2 billion of that money to be given out as loans and investments. I'm really interested into even understanding that breakdown and what that means, because I've applied for loans, especially we're talking about a corporate structure and all of that. Like, y'all still use the same criteria that X's Black folks out in the first place. So how? Also, you see, I got my press on, so I'm talking with my hands now. I don't gotta hit the table and hide them. So it's giving a lot of this. I do my press ons like every so often when we have an event. But I'm like, for only 4.2 billion of that money to go out in the form of grants, when that is like the single most impactful, I would say this most impactful uh money exchange situation. And these, I mean, I've not seen a grant over $25,000. So for there to be this fund of $50 billion, and I know businesses right now that are scalable, and I mean, looking myself in the mirror, that are scalable, and funding is in between, and y'all said 50 billion. So like, I am confusion.
Did you see any upticks since Black Lives Matter?
I saw upticks in the ease of grant applications.
Mhm.
That's for sure. Like, grants used to be a more laborious application process. I know that like I captured some grant monies. Like, we definitely got grant monies, but the thing was is that the grants came right after COVID. So money that could have been used to scale was used to fill a void left from not being open for so long, versus getting an extra, $50,000 to just put into operations and to use as working capital. It was used to pay off, like, debt that had
Right.
accumulated because we ain't get no BBP. But we definitely should have been scammers.
Yeah.
Morality
It's so
police, like.
so unfortunate because I remember I was getting overwhelmed via like Instagram requests and emails, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like crazy, and I was like, I have to sign off for a second because it was just so many people like, we want to work with you, which are we want to work with, Black founders, or and I was just like,
Mhm,
wow, this is crazy. Like, how did you find me? It was just a lot going on. I think initially there was some support in terms of like people wanting to support Black businesses. I know Google has sent out like stickers for retail
yeah,
stores to put like, Black owned businesses on their locations and or on their websites. Um, I think now people still highlight that, particularly being in Harlem, like, oh yeah, we want to, we want to support a Black owned business, or we heard it was Black owned, or every now and then we do get questions around like, oh, is this a Black owned business? It's a very interesting climate, especially coming like so many things were happening. You had George Floyd, Black Lives Matter movement, the pandemic. It was a lot.
yeah,
I think particularly for Black founders, there was this. I mean, I think there's some trauma that's associated with it too, right? Because you don't get a lot of opportunities, and then you have
mhm,
all of these opportunities that you feel like you have to commit to, or you don't know if they're going to want to work with you again. So you're like, I don't want to miss this opportunity or this, being exposed to this audience. It's a lot, right? And I
yeah,
think just having to settle in, you know, who you are and what you're looking to accomplish. And not every opportunity is a great opportunity,
yeah,
or having to filter through, you know, what you actually have the bandwidth to accomplish.
yeah. For me, I was specifically, I am specifically disturbed, as you said, like coming out of it and like being in this space of clarity, because when we started, we were focused on the fact that we were Black owned. Like, my experience being in the chocolate industry and never seeing Black people, growing up going to chocolate shows, never seeing Black people, like, the point of my business was to highlight the fact that we was Black. And I remember when we was on the Today Show, I have this little sign that we created. This is 2018. And we got death threats for saying that we were a Black owned business and having that sign. So now it's just really kind of, it's a hard pill to swallow to know that we got played yet again. So what we're basically saying is, run us our $45 billion. I don't want to hear nothing about no loans or no investments unless you're being very transparent and very eased up on the loan requirements. So I don't want to hear it. Run us our 50 billion. Y'all owe us more than that. Run us our money.
So it's
That's
story number two. Um, to be successful in Black, man, what a statement. Black business owners are kicked out of shopping malls across the country. Um,
yeah.
this is something that's happening right now, according to Yahoo Finance. And it's really unfortunate. So
Y'all
interesting enough,
finance
I was
and the shade room. Yo, shout out sidebar. Like in the shade room. I think this story actually originated from the shade room investigates. Go ahead and I love to see a black business grow and they are elevating in terms of their investigative reporting. I actually think that the shade room broke this story, but um it got picked up by Yahoo Finance, which is like pretty big. Like,
yeah. So in South Point Mall in Virginia, they gave a business owner Tally a lease termination with no prior warning on Christmas Eve.
Jesus
Um,
Christ.
that's terrible,
That's
right?
terrible.
Everyone knows the holiday season is like the busiest time. That's when you're trying to make, the most, especially it's typically the end of the year. That's disgusting. She said she was, Tally said she was a good business for 8 months when she was there. She was given less than a week to vacate the premises. She has to throw out many of her things. Her termination notice obtained by one outlet did not say why she was being evicted. That's terrible. There was another gentleman in a barbershop in Charlotte, North Carolina. So Tally was her business was there for 8 months, and she was given less than a week notice to vacate the premises. And unfortunately, she had to throw out many of her things. Her termination notice, obtained by one outlet, did not state why she was being evicted. That's
Ugh,
terrible.
that's horrible. That's horrible. That's horrible.
I don't even know what I would do if I was given a week notice to leave
I'm
my
burning it down.
place.
I'm burning it down. I'm burning it down. Nobody gonna have the spot. 1 week, no notice, no nothing. Nah, nobody's getting it. Nobody's getting it. Nobody will have this space. It would be nobody's space. So
I also don't want to give up my cornbread, and I'm not made for jail. So I probably would contact one of my attorney friends. And
I don't
or
want to give up
contact
my
my
cornbread. Is
attorney.
mad funny. Yo,
I
nah, no, because it's horrible. It's horrible. What I think, like the point of this story is one, and I think this happened to like two other guys, and then once all of the hoopla came out about it, they were like, "Oh, you can come back." What? No, you gotta negotiate them leases. I think because this is we talk about it all the time about how Melissa saved my life on like getting me to like dig into my lease. The lease is not a present; it's a business deal. Do not feel like someone is giving you like oh they're giving you an opportunity. They aren't. You guys are. You're giving them an opportunity. Yes, they can have whatever business they want in there, but is that business going to succeed? You believe in what you're doing. Yes, they got to believe in it too, but they're believing in it out of at a standpoint that they're going to be paid for their belief. You're not paid for your belief. They are. So
absolutely.
they get that money. And I think sometimes when we go into these lease situations and agreements, that you can feel like you're getting a present and or like you know what I'm saying, like it's like a vote of confidence. And I get it, like we often don't have people who believe in our businesses, and the leasing process can be so hard, especially as a black business owner when you're doing it on a shoestring budget, and then they start coming up with all this different stuff that you need. You got to have this much money in the bank and that much, like child, if I had a year worth of the lease in my in my account, what? Why would I need the space? Like, I'm clearly whatever I'm doing is already making money. You know, it could be super duper hard. But you gotta read through that. You gotta stack the cards in your favor. Yeah, things can always happen, but stack those odds in your favor. That the ability to give somebody a 7-day vacate. What?
Yeah. That's
Nah,
crazy.
that's
And
crazy.
you know, a lease is a legal binding agreement. But it's crazy. Like even being in New York City, the rent that landlords are asking for is like, how do you expect for me to be able to grow my business, or do you just want me to be here to pay you? It's interesting, and I think we have to be strategic. And I definitely, if you do nothing else, if you go into a commercial space, please read your lease. Have an attorney. Rather, there are professionals for that. Pay the people. If you can make an investment, that is one investment that you should account for. Because, and also, when you speak with the attorney, ask them, are you familiar with reading leases? Right?
Yes.
Because you may get an attorney that has never even read a lease, right? Or has any experience with that. And they don't know the riders in the lease, or, the certain conditions. So, you know, I think it always comes back down to my favorite term: do your due diligence. Interview people in the same way that they, would interview you. Ask tons of questions. Um, I have found attorneys, shout out to Start Small, Think Big. They
Absolutely.
helped me. The New York Lawyers Alliance. There are tons of nonprofit attorney organizations that are willing to help. Level Up Legal, shout out to Shermeen, Leica and her team. Like, you
Yeah.
got to get on the University of Google and, start looking up like nonprofit for business owners. You can ask for, if you do come across an attorney that you really want to work with, and you're like, listen, I can't afford your hourly rate, you can ask for a junior attorney. Like, that's another thing. You start finding when you're dealing with a partner, it's going to cost you more billable hours. I mean, attorneys are interesting as well because they start billing you for things, and you got to be like, well, how many hours are actually allocated to this, and am I working with a partner or associate? It gets crazy. So do your diligence. Don't be dissuaded, right? Like, if it's a 50-page lease, the space was vacant, take the time. Don't
Yeah.
just feel like someone just, oh, yeah, they're giving me opportunity. No, 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 no.
Yeah. I think so how I did it on a budget, right? Like broke as a jokey. Um the local like chambers of commerce, the local like business associations, they always have some lawyer in connection with them. But what I found um was that you actually need at least two lawyers to look over a lease, especially when that lease is very long. I actually had three attorneys. My landlord was playing the game. Like, my lease was like 50 plus pages, and he was hiding things. And the first, I went to like a legal clinic through Start Small, Think Big. That was like, they were having like a real estate clinic. And I was like, oh, okay, let me go ahead, because Melissa told me to go have a lawyer look at it. All right, I'm going to get a lawyer to look at it. And he he spent 15 minutes. He like we had sent the lease to him in advance, and then he got on a call with me for like 15 minutes and was like, no, 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 yes, this is a legal clinic. How you need to hire an attorney immediately. There are so many red flags. And he told me, he said, go through the lease with a fine-tooth comb and highlight everything you do not understand, and then talk to your attorney about it. Like, what does that mean? How can we phrase that to mean something better so I can have a full understanding of the processes and procedures as it relates to my landlord? And we found some like some dirt on. I'll never forget it. Page 36, section D. Like, you was playing the game. But you need to like stack it, and a lot of like the local business associations and stuff will always have lawyers attached to them, especially if you don't have like one easily accessible in your network. But do not play a game with a lease. Don't play a game. If there's any other contracts that you ever contracted, your lease, like where you lay your head, it is not like an apartment where you are, you're subject to the rules and whatever. This is a commercial interaction. The city, the state don't care nothing about what y'all going through. Y'all, they'll be like, "Oh, take each other to civil court." That's when you solve that problem. So you'll be locked out of your space. There's no person that's gonna come save you. Like, oh, I got a lease. That's all getting directed to civil court because that's a business deal. This is
Yes.
you're not a person moving in. You are a business entity renting that space. So do not think that you have any coverage or help if your lease does not specifically allow you for that.
But I think it helps also strengthen your muscle. You said
Mhm.
page 36, right? Like
Yeah,
people are not reading to page 36.
yeah,
So it strengthens your muscle as a business owner to read. I don't care if it's on page 356. I'm gonna
yeah,
get to it. Right? So that matters. But with that being said, we're gonna toss to a break. We
yeah.
look forward to coming back and speaking with you.
Be right back. Be right back. Ooh. That's my. Okay. I'm trying to come up with a catchphrase.
Welcome back, guys. So I'm here to talk about opportunity alert. If you are not familiar with or have not been watching, the US is investing in renewable energy. It's successfully scaled in Europe, and they are looking to invest stateside. So climate energy, anything green, helping the US be better. The state energy department is also investing 120 million in workforce training focused on underserved communities and priority populations. So definitely, we want to make sure this article that we are bringing to you comes from Climate Wire, and the headline is Black business owners test offshore wind for diversity. So here in Uniondale, New York, Deidre Hellberg wandered the conference hall past booths occupied by construction companies, shipping firms, and cable manufacturers, and wondered where she would fit in. Like most people here, Hellberg was drawn to the trade show by the prospect of supplying equipment to an offshore wind project planned off Long Island. But unlike most of people here, Hellberg is Black. She's used to this. After nearly 2 decades of running a business that sells electrical equipment to utilities, transit authorities, and universities, Hellberg, 60, is accustomed to being the only Black woman in the room. Ooh, child. It's a lot. So the quote that she said is, I don't even really exist, she said, looking at the mostly white faces milling around a nondescript conference room at a local Marriott hotel. I can tell you that, being the only Black person in the room sometimes can often feel alienating. But when you are at the table, from my perspective, you have a duty to walk in your greatness, right? And if you are listening and you feel that if imposter syndrome kicks in, or that's when your anxiety kicks in, I want you to think about, who and what you stand for, and what does success look like after that meeting, after that presentation, that pitch. Um, Let that be your guiding light or your North Star, and let that invigorate you and really fill you up to give you the energy to focus on the long term game and what you actually want to achieve. Go out there and learn about, climate control and, everything that there is to offer environmentally, because it is where there is a heavily focused. And if you haven't thought about it and you have that skill set, please, I encourage you to go out there and go get some of that business.
All right, let's hop into our discussion for the day. I love this sentence and I love this statement because it is infuriating and it pisses me off every single time. Whenever something happens, I mean, regardless of what's going on, right? Like, we may be out of stock of a product, we may be, uh, I mean, it don't matter. Like, didn't respond to a DM in the right amount of time, or didn't respond to an email at 5 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. It's always like, hey, here's this. It's not even like a piece of advice. Like, it's this retort, like, see, I was trying to support a black business, but what? We don't have any more cookies. You hear? It's the end of the day. There's nothing here. Or like our pricing that you've never compared to any other pricing at any other chocolate shop. Because if you know that I've studied this industry. You know that my pricing fits well within the range for the quality of product that we have. But then it becomes like this. See, I was trying to support a black business, but y'all trying to gouge. What? Like, why does I was trying to support a black business come up when it's just something that, like, when you at the Walmart, you like, oh, I was trying to support a white business, but I'm confused. Like, even when you walk into a small trinket store and you don't see a black person, you walked into that store, you admired how it looked, you admired what was going on, but then, like, because something went wrong, you're not like, oh, I was trying to support a Ukrainian business, but like that, like, what? Why does our blackness get weaponized, and how can we, as black business owners, arm ourselves against that thought process? I've been trying to figure it out. Like, I get it that it's a comfort level in our own community. But like, it comes up so much. Our way of combating it is always just like telling the truth of where we are. Like, we are not Amazon. I cannot I put on my website how many days it takes us to process. We are a team of less than 3 people. There are thousands of you. I know you, like, yes, we have to invest in getting stuff out the door, but all I can be is transparent about how long it takes us because we got so many things to do and so few people. And so it's just like, I just immediately like, and we appreciate you trying to support a black business, but like, here's what comes with that. We don't have the funding to have some huge facility. We got a small kitchen that we have to work around our production schedule to figure out a place to bag up boxes. Which you like, I mean, I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts on that sentence? I know what that sentence triggers for me. It grinds my gears and it gets on my damn nerves. But I also have a lot of patience with my people and understand that it's not always coming from a bad place. Um, but at the same time, it's absolutely fucking annoying.
I was actually gonna say, so what I hear you saying is like, instead of jumping to the conclusion, right, or just putting people all in a category, like, oh, this is a black race, it's not gonna be great. Like, try to figure out or learn more details before like even making this ignorant statement.
Yeah.
Because it's really ignorant. I think, in my experience, things happen. I think I always say the one thing I can relate to you on is being a human being, and things happen. So this is actually what transpired. Do we always get it right? It's unfortunate that we fell short. So I think also people just want to hear the accountability, right? But I'm very solution based and solution detail oriented. So it's like, we're going to get to like, what do you need? What do you expect from this?
Yeah.
Right? Because we're not going to take away from the things that I've built and the work that we've done. So without saying it directly, just providing that great customer service, remaining calm and professional, you know. So
Yeah.
how can I resolve this matter for you? Or what would, because I think there are some people that come intentionally to antagonize you, right? And when you get riled up and you get out of character, they're like, yeah, see, they couldn't keep their cool. They're not professional. And then it just goes on and on and on and on and on. So I'm just like, all right, what can I control in this moment? Even if someone's like irate and yelling, I notice that when you remain calm, they sometimes can get louder. And I'll just say, I haven't really had that many experiences like that, I will
Oh.
say. So that's also the thing, I think. And I don't if I have a bad experience at a black business, I'm actually more inclined to say, "Hey, I know, things happen, right? I'll give them another shot." I don't just it could just be an off day, right? And I don't think it's necessarily a black business, a purple business. Like business owners and businesses and people just have off days, right? So I'll give you another shot to see if it was an off day. But my patience is getting very thin because I think customer service in itself is fleeting.
Mm.
So my money is going to hit every time, right?
Mhm.
So if I'm spending my money, I'm actually tired of having subpar service
Mm.
overall from larger corporations to smaller corporations. It's like, where's the customer service?
Mm.
So, I try to look at things from the whole picture and not just get in like these pigeonholes, but at the same time, I do give people the benefit of the doubt. And it really depends on how that interaction goes in that moment, right? If it seems like it's off there, I get it. Like it's hard to the workforce is crap. Like it's hard to find people to actually want to work or come to work. Like things are happening.
All right, Kim
That's
K.
a
I'm
ripple
gonna get.
effect. Things are happening that is actually a ripple effect, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, is this an off day or this is how things actually work? And if it actually works like this, I actually don't want to patronize the business.
Yeah, no, I literally like I feel it. Like I am very very clear on the fact that it's not about excusing subpar service. I also understand as a business owner, um, that it's like it's super hard to give a service that you've never received, right? Like I remember walking into like high end stores with my mom as a kid. I'm very, very fair skinned. She's very, very dark skinned. And it's like, I'm a kid, like, even not necessarily like a kid, like, I'm like 16. I may look a little bit more mature, but I'm broke. That's the lady with the money. And they were like, they would wait on me hand and foot. They would like, even when we go places, my mother will sometimes say, like, oh, I'm gonna bring Jessica with me because I know that I can get better service. And it's like
Mm,
that's literally horrible. So when you come from that space, like I was afraid of it when starting Harlem Chocolate Factory. Like I went and I sent myself to some very, very expensive customer service training, um and have like done my very best to build that into our processes, but it becomes a little hard to manage expectations when when the scenario and the atmosphere culturally has shifted to this 24-hour support, 1 day turnaround. They like people are amazed, like, okay, I you got the order, like, yeah, and I immediately got my tracking number. Not for this handcrafted product that we in here making at the same time, and we got one table to work with and to ship shit out. Like, that's like the expectation is like,
yeah,
and so it becomes hard to like manage those expectations. So what's bad customer service and what's an unreasonable expectation? Like we
right.
get like being talked down to, we get like all those are horrible and have no place in business. But there's this other side where it's like, are you serious? Like I ordered this last night at 10 o'clock. Can I get my tracking number? When, last night at 10. Maybe it's 9 o'clock in the morning. Nothing's happened yet. Please, please. And it's not about us not doing it. There's literally 3 people that work in the company. Baby, that's just not. And we could put up all the shipping facts we want, and it's like people don't even read it. So I really think that businesses have to do the best that they can to arm their customers with accurate information about what their processes take, and don't build in a process or build in a timeline that you can't scale out. Because what happened was we used to kill ourselves to get stuff out the door and to do all these things. And that was cute when we had 25 customers or 50 customers. Then when thousands of people was hitting you up and you can't
Yeah.
sustain that, you start getting those calls like, oh, I heard, like, girl, we can't do that.
And it's good that, I mean, I think having these conversations, right? So that when people listen, it gives them a broader perspective because people really don't understand what happens behind the scenes,
Yeah.
right? They only see the thing and they're like, oh, this is how it's always been. This is, so
Yeah, we ain't got no
the
robots. Boo. Somebody got to come in here and go in, look at your order, see how big it is, print out the label, go get a box, package up the product, put the stuff in the box, check all the other orders, make sure you got all your stuff in your box, make sure that it's going to the right address, make sure that you put your address in right because y'all always want to leave a digit off your zip code. Like, get all of that, go back and forth, listen to your request for the thing that you want to add on at the last minute, and then try to wrangle one of these UPS or FedEx drivers. Child, you know how many times we've been in here and had pickups and the person never came to pick up?
wow.
Like, you know how many times we've gotten stuff to the office and then looked at the tracking numbers and no one scanned them? Like, I mean, like literally craziness. Like, which is why one of these things where we want to take our production out of the city so we could have like a one-on-one kind of like relationship with our local distribution house or taking them directly to an airport because these things mean something in this new culture where people want stuff as soon as they order it. But like, boo, we all not Amazon.
Right.
Set the expectation. We used to order stuff back in the day and hope that we got it by the next month. And I
Yeah.
get that that's just not the culture no more. But baby, how you want us to do it when it's only three of us? How? We got kids. We got things to do. Yes, you spent your money. We're not robbing you if it take a couple extra days to get to you. And you're
And
shipping around.
Even Amazon is not
They
delivering
not
next
doing it
day
no
as
more because
often as they used to.
it's impossible. It's impossible. They set a standard that you can't meet when your volume starts to go up. So yes, I'd rather say like, yo, it takes us a week to get you your product and then build down and then you can get it in 3 days and we can as we grow and scale. But I would rather say I could do that. Also, I want y'all to read the shipping facts before y'all come real loud and proud in that I'm just trying to support a black business in the comments section because it's crazy.
I also think this is a good marketing. Like I'm just sitting here and I'm thinking about my experiences in shopping. And when you have a longer arrival date, right, a pushed out time,
And
and
it
then you
shows up
actually
early.
receive it sooner, it's
Oh
like, wow, this
yeah.
company is amazing, right? So it's actually, this could be a great marketing. You
Yeah,
could
but we
A
just
B
need the
test
people
this.
to read. We need the people to read that part because,
No
like,
one's reading.
no one's
Let me,
like
it could be posted. You
I
could put it on Instagram, email, in your store. Like nobody reads, and it's okay. Now that I have experience with
what
people not reading.
people yo people not reading like people don't read like I'm like it says right there in that red box right there that it's gonna take this many days. But why I get a tracking number yet? Because it didn't ship. It didn't get processed yet. Okay, it shipped. Why I ain't get it yet? You gonna have to talk to UPS. You got. I, baby, what you want me to do? You want me to bring it to your house? It's to the point where I brought packages to people's houses. Like UPS did somebody dirty, whatever. It's a really important thing. I've had to grow out of that, but God bless. That's neither here to there. Oh, the man behind the curtain, Asad said, "What advice will we give to a person who wants to support black businesses?" And he's talking about himself. I'm saying a person, but what advice do we give Asad if he wants to support a black business?
I would make a list of my favorite things and see what black owned business makes it.
Oh, good advice.
I think that would be super cool, right? Because I think, yeah, just make a list of the things you love and be like black owned, water bottle company, black owned travel agency, black
Hmm.
owned. I mean, there's tons of stuff. We also live in the era of Google now. So when people are like, oh, I don't know,
Yo,
or
nah,
I'm
not you
like, you
getting a
could
check from
literally
Google,
Google.
yo. You
I'm
need a
just saying,
yeah. What's
like,
they called? They call Alphabet now. Whatever. You need a check.
alphabet,
Alphabet.
right.
Put Melissa on because
I'm
no.
a believer.
Yeah. I think my advice is more in the actual interaction. I actually think it's really important. Like I said, all this, like, oh, I was trying to support a black business. There is also a part of it that black businesses do need feedback. Do not write off a business, which sometimes we conflate black with micro. Some of the issues that we face with black businesses are not about the fact that they're black, it's the fact that they are a micro business, which is very different than a small business. A small business could be up to what, 500 employees? A micro business is often one person, maybe two, running an entire business by themselves. Everything. When something does go wrong, finding a way to communicate why you won't return. And if it goes right, tell as many people as possible.
And
Um,
if you're a founder or entrepreneur listening, I think the other thing is to be receptive to the
Absolutely.
feedback and not defensive, right?
Exactly.
Because
Everybody ain't
people are
wrong.
not trying to tear you down, right?
Yeah.
And I always say, all right, if I hear it a few times, there's some truth to it,
Yeah.
right? So be open to the feedback and apply it. I think that's something that, every entrepreneur can say that they learned because nothing is built in a day. So what are people saying, especially as a small business, because you have the ability to adapt and change faster than larger companies. They got to go through legal and like all
Yeah.
these different departments and get things approved. Like it's that's the beauty of having a small business, right? You can test things out. We just talked about a whole new marketing concept. So I think that's important. And then also we have to remember that there may be people that are listening that they may not be black owned businesses in their area or their state or things like that. And that's okay. So they may not get that initial interaction, but I think really honing on what your intention is,
Yeah.
right? And outside of just patronizing the business, it could be truly like supporting with your skill set. Because
Yo,
I think that is actually the key, right? Like,
fam.
hey, I'm really good at this. And I know this, like, let's talk about what you want to accomplish. This may be random. I'm not a crazy person,
Yeah.
right? But I committed to doing X amount
Five
of volunteer
hours. Yeah,
hours,
exactly. I got 5 hours for you.
dedicating.
Yeah. Like,
I think that's important because a lot of
yo.
the times it's not that black business owners are not talented. They just don't know how to leverage their network
Mm,
and or ask for what they need or even know what they need because they're so bogged down by the day to
mhm.
day of the business that they can't
Exactly.
even dream or
Exactly
they
what it
get
could look like.
sidetracked to what the actual dream was and what it could look like.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Not having bandwidth is very real. So if you have talents, anything like, you want to support, yo, do some volunteer hours, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, hold somebody down for a second. You got a local coffee shop, yo, and you cool with the owner or whatever the case may be, take a shift. Like, right? Like, it's so real because the thing is that our businesses are running at a whole different from a whole different perspective and a whole different scale. Like, yeah, we're getting into it where people got like low 401ks and things like that. But the fact that our actual families, what I think, what like black families are at almost like a zero net worth, like
Yeah.
or a few $1,000s over that, not having that means you don't have any leverage for money. When we talk about that $45 billion earlier, where they put that all in loans and investments and all of that, to tap into that, you have to already have wealth. They want collateral for loans. They want to show that you have somebody around you with the money of the loan in the bank. Like, these are real life steps that you have to get over in order to get real money, right? You could get you a little five, ten. When they talk about they got money for black business, it's like $5,000, $10,000. When you start needing real life money, like real life money, you need some six figures. It becomes incredibly difficult if you don't, if you're not able to like hop through the SBA. But after SBA, you screwed, right? Like, and you need these quick whatevers. So you can't really retain talent because you don't have access to enough money to retain talent. So that's our other piece. Volunteer. Volunteer, tell the world, tell them, and black business owners, open your mind. Everybody ain't trying to attack you. It feels hard because you are being attacked. I know for myself, we were being attacked. We have had death threats. I've been to the police several times behind just putting a little sign in the window that said black owned business.
It's
And really,
horrible.
because people was trying to play me from being light skinned, and they were saying that I was a white woman, and I was like, I'm fighting the next person who says that, but we just wanted to hone in the fact that we were, black owned. So we're gonna close off the show. I hope that you were able to get something from this today. The closing tip of the day is to network with intent. Please, Lord. You can easily get caught up in networking and expand your network to no end. Make sure you define a very specific goal for your networking. If you need to find people to help you with funding, then that's the goal and that's why you're networking. That's the topic of conversation that you're having. You're not just networking to network because y'all confusing networking with being mixy and it's not going to happen. Have a goal and execute the goal, network with intent. But that was the show for today. I hope y'all liked it.
Yeah, I hope you really
I like
enjoyed
my
it. Thank you
nails
for
too, and
listening.
my wig. Wig still wigging. And my background, right? Another week.
Thank you for listening to Not the Highlight Reel. Please make sure to follow us on all of our social media. Catch us on Instagram, like, share, wherever you listen to your podcast.
Make sure you give us a rating. Hit the 5 stars. Okay, thank you. Please don't be a hater. But we'll catch you next time. I'm Jessica.
And I'm Melissa.
See y'all later.